Get started.
All right. Make sure if you're checking in, put your name, city, and state, all right? Make sure you guys put your name, your city, and your state. If you're trying to be a brother in the school, all right? If you're trying to be a trooper in the school or a brother in the school or become a sister in the school, make sure you put your name, city, and state and check in so you can be accounted for in class, all right? Don't forget to check in. Put your name, your city, and your state. Don't forget to check in, all right? Alright, make sure you put your name, city, and state. Okay. I'm going to give y'all a few more moments so everybody can check in and sign in, alright? What's going on? Yeah, come over and grab this real quick. Just so you can have a Bible to read. Alright? You can take your time on the scriptures, but I want you to follow along, alright? Alright. Give you guys a few more moments, alright? So Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization, alright? So today is the Isupk Virginia Law class, alright? It's the Virginia Law class. We have to understand the law as Israelites. So if you are so-called black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, right, you are God's chosen people. And you are required to know the law. You are required to keep the law. It is literally your obligation to know the law. Alright? It's your obligation to know it. You have to know it. In order to be an Israelite, you have to know the law. You have to keep the law. Alright? That was an order and a command from God himself that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are to keep the laws of God. Alright? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, alright? This is also Isupk Virginia's mandatory class. All right, it's a mandatory class. All right, so make sure you put your name, city, and state. Make sure you check in if you could, Bubba Kwasha, so you can be accounted for in today's class as well. If you're trying to be a brother or sister in the school, absolutely put your name, city, and state. All right, your name, city, and state. All right, but today's the law class, and we got to get into the law. All right. So I know there's been a lot of Okay, so anybody online? All right, can anybody tell me? Even in class, can anybody tell me? All right, what's today's lesson about? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me today's lesson? You got it, Warwick? Well, not the law. Well, it is about the law, but specifically. All right. If you want now to give anyone a hint, go online and look at the title, and you'll know what today's lesson is. All right. All right. You'll know what today's lesson is about. But anyone online or anybody in class? Make sure it's okay. Go ahead. You got a word? Go ahead.
Hebrew servants and the laws on their thieves.
Got it. Most High in Christ. That's right. William Ballard, you're also correct. Servants and thieves, right? Hebrew servants and the laws of thieves. All right. That's today's lesson. All right. The reason why that's today's lesson is because a lot of people got, I heard a lot of questions on it, and a lot of people. Okay. If I could, all right. A lot of people mistaken Exodus 21, right? You're correct, sis. Hebrew servants, laws on thieves. All right. In Israel, and apparently throughout so far, I've heard a lot of misconceptions about Exodus 21 specifically. A lot of people have a problem understanding what Exodus 21 is talking about. A lot of people think Exodus 21 is talking about slavery. All right? When people look at Exodus 21, they say, oh my God, the Israelites believed in slavery. No. All right? The Israelites did not believe in enslaving their own race of people. All right? The Israelites do not believe in enslaving their own race of people. No. Israel does not believe in just randomly enslaving people for no reason at all. All right? Israel does not believe in that. The Israelites do not believe in that at all. So do not be mistaken when you read Exodus 21. And we're going to get into it. We're going to get an understanding the law, because this is our law and we have to know it. You can't just breeze past this and not understand the law, all right? So we have to get an understanding of it. Make sure you put your name, city, and state, all right? Make sure you sit on this side, warrior. The sister sit on this side. The brother sit on this side. Alright. There should be an outlet right there that you might be able to use as well. One more time, warrior.
The phone is speaking.
Oh, okay. You can put it next to you if you would like. Are you able to move it? Alright, we're about to get into it. All right. So now my question to everyone online. What do you got? Okay, I want to hear. Okay, first things first. Anyone online, have you guys heard about Exodus 21? Have you guys ever heard about it? And if so, what have you heard of it? What was taught to you about it? If you did hear, I would like to know. Right? Does anybody know about Exodus 21? That's fine. Yeah, you can use that. All right. Does anybody know? Has anyone ever heard about Exodus 21? What have you guys heard about Exodus 21? You can keep it going. So what have you guys heard about Exodus chapter 21? Anyone online? I would like to know. What have you guys heard about Exodus chapter 21? Now, any brother, for sure, if you are a brother tuning into class, make sure you put these breakdowns into your notes. Make sure you put the breakdown Exodus 21 in your notes. It's very important to keep this in your notes. All right, this is something that you're going to need. This is something that you're going to want, because there's going to be debate after debate that the Bible is talking about slavery in Exodus 21, and that's not the case. All right. So we're going to talk about Hebrew servants in the Bible. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get it. So Exodus chapter 21 verse 1. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. So it says, now these are the judgments, right? Meaning these are the things that are going to be put into place. Meaning, all right. These are, okay, so when it says judgments, right? It is talking about certain punishments, right? But these are your rules and regulations when it's talking about judgments. Judgment can be, in some cases, right? And sometimes in most cases, judgment can mean a punishment. But judgments can also refer to just rules and regulations, all right? So when the Lord says in Exodus 21 verse 1, now these are the judgments, meaning these are the rules and regulations, right? Which thou shalt set before them. Now, who is the before them, right? So right now, who is the Lord talking to? Anyone online? Who is the Lord talking to right now? Make sure you raise your hand too. You got the answer? Make sure you raise your hand and I'll call on you, alright? So who is the them? You want to give it a shot? Go ahead.
The Jews.
Okay. You're not wrong, right? But I want to know. I'll reword the question. All right. Which person? All right. Okay. That's going to. Okay. You guys keep that answer for my second question, because I may have answered it incorrectly. I want to give you guys a backdrop. Okay. What person is the Lord talking to? That's my question. Anyone online? Anyone in class? All right.
The Israelites.
What person? Not the Israelites. What person? What person, right, is the Lord talking to? Or which person is the Lord talking to? Anyone online in class? All right. It says, now these are the judgments which thou. When it says thou is Old English for you. So he's talking to someone personally, right? The Lord is talking to someone directly, right? So who is the Lord talking to directly? Right? This is very important to understand. Now these are the judgments, meaning rules and regulations, which thou shalt set. Who is the thou? Who is the you? Who is the you that the Lord is talking to? Thou is Old English for you. Make sure you put that in your notes so you know. For future references, thou is Old English for you. So who is the you that the Lord is talking to? Who is the you? Anybody online? Anybody online? Who is the you? Now these are the judgments which thou is Old English for you. Who is the you? Thou is Old English for you. So who is the you that the Lord is talking to? Who is the you? He's talking to someone. He's talking to a person. Can anybody want to take a crack on it? Or a crack at it? Anybody wants to try? Online or in class, no sweat. Take your time, think about it. Think about it. Who is the you? Who is the thou? Who is the you that the Lord is talking to? This is also the question for you brothers too. We got to know this. This is something that we have to break down. This is something that we have to know. Every word means something in the Bible. Every word, every comma, every break in the sentence when it comes in the scriptures, we have to be able to break it down. As a officer in the school, you should never just read over a whole bunch of sentences and not say nothing. All right? That's a bad habit to get into. You want to make sure you're able to break at least something down. Even though you may think it's common knowledge, it's not. All right? You may think that someone may know this, but they may not. So you want to be able to break down word from word, verbatim, the breaks, the commas, whatever it may be in the sentence, so everyone can understand. All right? This is the job of a priest, is to break down the law. All right? Did you want to take one more shot at it? Now these are the judgments which thou, meaning which you, thou is Old English for you. So who is the you? If I give it to you guys are going to be kind of upset. I know you guys are. You guys are going to be real upset when I give it to you. You're going to be like, man, why? And Salakia, I know this time I may ask, sometimes my questions can be kind of weird. But I think this time I may have asked the question right. All right? Who is the you that the Lord is talking to? Give the sister a hand. Give the sister a hand. Most High in Christ. You're absolutely right, sis. Anybody else? All right? Moses. Moses is the thou. Moses is the you. The Lord was talking to Moses. And then Moses, now it's going to blow your mind. My next question, shall set before them. Who is the them? Anybody online, anybody in class, who are the them? Right? The Lord is talking to Moses to give judgments to who? Who is Moses giving judgments to through the Lord? Anybody online, anybody in class? You guys thought that this was the answer for the first question, but it's actually the answer for the second question. Anybody? Give the sister another hand. It's the Israelites. So now these are the judgments which thou, meaning he's talking to Moses. The Lord always dealt with a man, and he chose a man to lead and teach and guide and protect the nation of Israel. All right? It was always one man. It wasn't a woman. It wasn't Big Mama. It wasn't your mama. It won't your evangelist. It wasn't that woman Christian pastor of yours. It wasn't your grandmama that's a damn Christian in the goddamn Christian church. It was a man. And it was a man of God who the Lord spoke to and who the Lord gave laws and rules and regulations to give to Israel. All right? It was never a woman. The Lord never gave women that type of authority and power. And that's in the New Testament. All right? Now that might hurt some souls. I may have hurt your feelings. Well, tell grandma she's wrong. Tell mama she's wrong. Tell big mama she's wrong. Tell her to close the Bible. She needs to stop opening it up. She's wrong. Tell her, say, grandma, I respectfully try to tell you, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Respectively, grandma, shut up. You don't teach the Bible. You don't know the Bible. You keep telling me God loves everybody, but God killed everybody on the earth. That's not love. You know, you're telling me God loves everybody, but Christ only died for Israel. That don't sound like everybody loves. These are just examples. But the Lord dealt with a man, and he raised up a strong masculine man, right, to teach and guide and protect Israel. Moses was a warrior. Moses, this is where you have to understand Moses, right? Moses was a murderer before he came into the truth. He murdered an Egyptian, right? We have to understand that he murdered an Egyptian. He struck down the Egyptian for his people. Now, was he right? No. But the spirit that he had was just. All right? He seen the injustice that was done to his people, and he stood up for it. Was he wrong? Yes. But that spirit was so right. The Lord didn't bring, listen, the Lord didn't bring a softie, right? And some soft sugar puff, some fairies and dust and what was it, sugar, spice, and everything nice. The Lord didn't bring that into Israel. The Lord didn't take a man that was soft and weak like your Christian pastor and your bishop and your minister and your deacon that wants to shave his face completely and molest little girls and little boys in the church. He didn't grab that type of brother to raise up Israel. He brought a strong warrior man named Mashah in the Hebrew. Moses, but Mashah in the Hebrew. That's who he got to raise Israel. Alright? And the them is talking to the Israelites. So you know that this law is referring to the Israelites, for them. Alright? Let's go to verse 2. If thou, it's talking about if you. This is a rule. This is a regulation. This is a commandment. This is a law. If you buy an Hebrew servant. Now here we go. Now I have a question for you guys. Anybody online? How do you buy a Hebrew servant? Anybody online, anybody in class, take a shot at it. How do you buy a Hebrew servant? Let me guess. And I don't want you guys to give me no wrong answers now. How do you buy? I want you guys to give me, I want you to think about it. How would you buy a Hebrew servant? Now, I need you guys to take, now, this is the moment, okay. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, when black people look at this scripture, when Hispanics look at this scripture, when Native Americans look at this scripture, they jump to slavery. Does anybody know why we jump straight to slavery when we read this? It's because we were enslaved. Because we were oppressed. So all we know is slavery. So when we read, if thou buy a Hebrew servant, we think they're talking about the auction blocks. Right? We're thinking that we're talking about the auction blocks where the so-called white man stole us from our land or where we were dwelling at the time, and took us out of our dwelling place where we lived at the time and brought us across the ocean and put us on auction blocks, butterball naked, and sold us to our oppressor. And then we worked on fields and they murdered us, they raped us, they molested us, and they did so much horrific things to us. That's what we see when we read Exodus 21:2. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, we automatically think slavery. That's because we were oppressed, because we were enslaved. I need you to break that enslavement. I need you to break that spirit of everything's talking about slavery. I understand that we've been hurt for many years. All right? I understand we've been enslaved and oppressed for many years. I understand that. But when it comes to the Bible, right, it's not talking about slavery here. So think real hard. I want you guys to think real hard. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, how do you buy an Hebrew servant? Key word I want you guys to focus on, 2 key words: buy and servant. There is a difference between a servant and a slave. There is a difference between a servant and a slave. Alright? I broke this down before, but I'm going to break it down again. There's a difference between a servant and a slave. So like I didn't break it down in this class. I broke it down to someone individually. Alright? There's a difference between a servant and a slave. A servant willingly serves, meaning they willingly serve. They're not serving against their will. They are freely serving you because they want to. That's who a servant is. A slave is forced. Is forced to work. They're forced to. By oppression, by demand, by whatever it may be, they are forced to do it. Look up the definition of slave, and then look up the definition of servant. Anybody online, can anybody tell me, take a crack at it. How would you buy a Hebrew servant? If this is not slavery, how would you buy a Hebrew servant? Any entrepreneurs out there? Any business people out there in class today? Any entrepreneurs out there? Any business people out there? How do you buy a Hebrew servant? You might want to know a little bit about business here. A little bit of entrepreneurship. You want to take a crack at it?
Serving for 6 years.
Okay, that's the amount of time. We're not there yet. How would you buy a Hebrew servant? I want a practical example of how you would buy a Hebrew servant. By redeeming them, sir? Okay, that's a good answer, but all right, not by redeeming. All right, that's a good answer, but not quite. Think of being an entrepreneur or a business woman or man. All right, a businessman or woman. You buy them by giving them knowledge of laws and commandments, bring them into the truth of the Most High. Okay, all right? This is an actual law. So this is what, by paying the servant. Okay, by paying the servant. Give the sister a hand. Sister Anna, give the sister a hand. It's by paying. There's a form of payment here. So I want you to think. This is how you do business in Israel. This is like you're setting up a city. You're setting up a business, right? You have a business. And let's say you're trying to build your business up. And you're trying to build a city up, right? And you're trying to build your land up. You're trying to build up Black Wall Street. You're trying to build up Chicago. You're trying to build up Norfolk. You're trying to build up Chesapeake and Hampton. You're trying to build it up. So in order to build up a city, you need people to work for you. You need people to build up your buildings. You need people to build your houses and your apartments and etc., etc. You need people to work for you, right? Listen, think of it as this, right? If you hire someone, you're buying them because they're going to make you money. When you hire someone, you have a value to you. You have a price on you. To give you an example, think of a contract. In most jobs, you sign contracts. You sign, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, this is what I will do, okay, this is what you have to do, this and this, etc., right? This is a contract. This is a business. This is you building a business. This is about entrepreneurship. This is how Israel will handle business financially when it comes to hiring employees if you are an employer. So if thou buy a Hebrew servant, now as a slavery, right? I'm a contractor. As a slavery, I'm a contractor. I'm an electrical contractor, right? I was bought because I'm a contractor. They gave me a set price, and I have to fulfill that contract in 2 years. And then once I'm done with that, I'm good to go to the next contract, right? So it says, if thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve. 6 years he shall serve. Let me give you guys more clarity on this. All right? In America, okay, first question is, Does anybody know about the military, America's military? Yes or no, online? Do you guys at least know roughly about America's military? Go ahead, Ward.
You have roommates. You have roommates.
Right. So you know a little bit about it, right? Anybody online too? Does anybody know about America's military? How many years? How many years do you usually serve in America's military? Does anybody know? How many years do you serve in America's military? Con. How many years do you serve in America's military? Okay, no sweat, sis. We'll go ahead and we'll teach you. You have to serve 4 years. Okay. Now my next question is, right, it's 4 years. It's roughly 4 years. My question to you is, when you serve in America's military, are you a slave? Are you a slave? In context, right? When you serve in America's military, do they say, I thank you for your enslavement? Do they say, I thank you for your enslavement? Were you forced to go into America's military? Right, la'ah. Were you forced to go into America's military? No, you were not. Now, the brother said Khan, right? I rephrased the question so the brother wouldn't say Khan, right? I tried to rephrase the question as soon as possible, right? Because most brothers know when you are in Esau military or you are in America's military, they will work you like a slave. You will feel like a slave, right? You will feel like a slave, especially if you're black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. You will feel like a slave when you're in America's military, right? But at face value, when you go into America's military, you are serving America, right? What they say? I thank you for your service. All right? I thank you for your service. You are servicing America, and you did it willingly because you wanted to serve your country. All right? Well, guess what? In Israel, we willingly wanted to serve our country. We wanted to willingly serve our nation. And because we wanted to willingly serve our nation, we got paid for our dues. Right? There was a form of payment, just like in America's military. You didn't go into America's military and work for free. You were a servant in America's military, and you got paid, and you got a place to stay and live and eat. You ate for free, right? Quote unquote, and you lived there for free, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because I was once in Esau military, and they do take it out of your check. But you still get paid. Alright? You still get paid. Alright? It may not be as much as you think you get paid, but you get paid. I promise you get paid. Alright? Like I said, you will feel like a slave, but you're not. Well, in Israel, we willingly served our country and our nation because we were all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. This scripture is not talking about slavery. This is talking about willing service for your country. You being employed by an employer. All right? You being employed by an employer. So if thou buy in Hebrew servant, meaning if you hire them, if you give them a contract, right? And this contract is 6 years. 6 years shall he serve. And in the seventh, meaning in the 7th year, he shall go out free for nothing. Now, does that sound like slavery to you? Last time I checked, we didn't serve 7 years in slavery in America. Last time I checked, it was over 400 years that we served, it's like that we slaved for this devil, for our oppressor. It was over 400 years. That's damn near quadruple More than quadruple 7 years. 7 times 12 doesn't even hit the hundreds. You understand that, right? Everybody understands that, right? You can times 7 by 12, and you still don't hit the number 100. We served over 400 years of slavery in America by force. They raped us, they molested us, they lynched us, they sold our daughters, they sold our sons, they raped our aunties, they raped our mothers, they raped our fathers. This is not that in the Bible, man. Don't allow anybody to tell you that Exodus 21 and 2 is talking about slavery. Don't allow anyone to tell you that Exodus chapter 21 is Israelites accepting slavery. No, not at all. And don't allow a devil to do it. Definitely don't allow some devil, some oppressor, some white man come up to you and say slavery is in the Bible. Look that oppressor in his face and says, you have no right. You have no right to come to me and tell me that slavery is in the Bible and it's wrong for the Bible to have slavery. When was it wrong for you and for your people? When was slavery wrong for you? Last time I checked, you used the Bible for slavery. Last time I checked. So don't let no devil or some oppressor come up to you and say, you know what? I think I've read the Bible once or twice, and I think the Bible is talking about slavery. And because the Bible talks about slavery, it's wrong for the Bible to talk about slavery. Tell that devil he has no right. And tell him to go piss off. Excuse my language. Tell him to put an egg in his shoe and beat it. You have no right to come up to me as a black man, as a slave, as a nigger, as a spick or a wetback or a savage. You have no right to come up to me and tell me, right? To come and tell me slavery is in the Bible and it's wrong, and the Bible is wrong because it accepts slavery. No, you have no right to even mention that word, man. Exodus 21 is not talking about slavery, right? It says, and in the 7th, meaning in the 7th year, he shall go out free for nothing, right? He shall go out free for nothing. Meaning once you serve your 6 years, on the 7th year, you're good to go. You are good to go. Right? Let's continue. Verse 3. If he came in by himself. So let's say he came in by himself, meaning this Hebrew servant, right? This fellow Israelite. He's working for you. You have a contract out for him, right? He's working for you. And he comes in by himself. Meaning, right, he's just by himself. No wife, no kids, no dog, no pets, no cats, no lizard, no McGuire, whatever the hell it is. Right? Maybe this brother has a giraffe as a pet. Right? Maybe he's Michael Jackson and he has lions and monkeys as pets. No, he came in by himself. He has nothing. Right? So if he come in by himself, it's like if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. So if he goes out, if he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. That's the contract. Right? If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. So his wife. So if he has a wife, right? Meaning if he's married, right? If he came in with a wife, then guess what? Well, go ahead. You can go out with her, right? Because you are the one that he hired, right? He didn't hire your wife. He hired you. So there's no reason to keep the wife. You understand? Because the wife is not working for him, or whatever entrepreneur, or whatever business, or whatever employer that you're working for. All right. Verse 4. If his master have given him a wife, so if his master is not referring to a slave master. Master is just a title for someone in charge, someone that has a position of authority. That's what a master is in this context. A master is your employer. Your master would be your employer. So if his master, right, meaning his employer, right, have given him a wife, these are the stipulations, these are the judgments, right? This is a contract being written out. These are the rules and regulations that we have to live by and follow, right? The way America runs their nation is how America runs their nation. How them countries in Africa run their nations is how their countries in Africa run their nations. Just like how Russia runs their nation is how they run their country. However the UK runs their country, that's how they run their country. Whatever country that you have, they have their own rules and regulations that they live by. Well, in Israel, we have our own rules and regulations that we live by, and we live by it. And this is what we're going to do. This is what we're ordered to do in this type of scenario, in this type of position. All right? All right? So now remember, to give you a little bit more context, remember, we are about to come into a land. We're about to come into Israel. We're not in Israel right now. We are in, okay, I'm going to ask the question. I want to give it to you guys. Anyone online, in Exodus 21 right now, where we're at, where are we? Are we in Israel? Where are we? Where are we as we speak right now? Where are we? Where are the Israelites right now in Exodus 21? Does anybody know? Where are the Israelites right now in Exodus 21? Does anybody know where the Israelites are? Where is Moses speaking to the Israelites right now? Does anybody know? Online. Moses is talking to the Israelites in what place? Correct, sis. It's the wilderness. Right? So right now we're in the wilderness. We have nothing. And since we are in the wilderness, we're about to go into a land, right? And we're going to have to build that land up. We're going to have to build it up. We're going to have to build cities. We're going to have to build houses. We're going to have to build apartments. So we need laborers. We're going to need people to work for people, right? To build it up. That's how a nation gets built. We just don't snap a finger and there you go. You have a city. You know what I'm saying? We just go like this. Alakadabra, alakazam. And then the city just appears. It don't work like that. You need laborers. You need people. You need electricians. You need plumbers. Right? You need carpenters. Right? You need these people to build up. So you need masonaries. Right? Not like masons. People that work with bricks and stuff. You need these people. This is who you need in order to build up a city, right? So if his master, right, in Israel, if you have an employer, right, that's your employer. If his master has given him a wife, so now in our nation, right, in our custom, your employer could give you a wife, right? Because he has the authority, right? So he has the overall authority, right? So if he wants you to marry someone, or if you want to marry someone, he can give you a wife, right? He can give you a wife, all right? And she have borne him sons or daughters, right? So if she have borne this man, if your master, if your employer gives you a wife, and your wife bears you sons and daughters, right? The wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. Now, this is what we have to understand, all right? Some people say, hey, look, there you go. That sounds like slavery. That sounds like slavery right there. That's slavery. No. All right? Now, let's think about it. Anybody online? Okay. You may not be able to answer this question. All right? Possibly. Where did the master get the wife from? Anybody online want to take a shot at it? Where did the master get a wife from? Did the master say, snap his fingers and say, here's a wife? Where do you think the wife came from? Anybody want to take a guess at it? Where do you think the wife came from? Anybody? Okay. Not his tribe. Not his tribe. Good. That was a good answer though, but not his tribe. Think about it. Anybody else want to give it a shot? How do you? Where would this wife of his children? No, not of his children. It says, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. Think about it. Why does he have to go out by himself? It said in verse 2, Salaki, it said in verse 3 that if he was married, then him and his wife can go. But why in verse 4, right? If his master gave him a wife, right, then they can't go but only him. Think about what I said earlier. Not other masters, no. Well, I mean, okay. No, but you're close, Shakal. You're close. But don't use the word master. And don't say other masters, but you're close. What was this woman? A wife is a woman, right? What was this woman to this master? Maybe that'll help you guys a little bit. Not a helpmate. A wife is a helpmate. Okay, I'll give it to you guys. All right. She was an employee. That's it. She was an employee. She also worked there too. All right. It's just that simple. She worked too. All right. That's all. That's easy day. Because she was also hired. All right. That's all. Everybody understands why that makes sense? Yes. Because remember in verse 3, not that she was, no, not slave, right? She was doing her service. She was the slave. She was, okay, you don't want to use the word slave, William. But she was the servant and she was doing her service. You're correct. But don't use slave, use servant for your first sentence. But you're correct, William. She was a servant too. She was an employee. Right? So she was employed as well. So of course she has to serve out her time. And of course eventually the children are going to work for their master too. Because eventually they're going to have to get a job too and work. These are just the stipulations. Alright? And he shall go out by himself. Right? Right? Khan. She was an employee. All right. Let's go to verse 5. Now, and if the servant, now verse 5, if the servant, this is your employee, your servant, right? You're a servant, you're doing service, you're an employee, working for an employer, right? And if the servant shall plainly say, so this employee, this servant is going to say something, right? I love my master, Meaning, I love my employer. You know what I'm saying? I love what I do here. He treats me good. He pays for my living. You know what I'm saying? He pays where I stay. I get 3 meals a day here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a service. America does this too. Listen, a lot of nations do this still to this day. It's mostly known in the military, but they do this today. You serve a certain time as a contract, and you serve your time, and they pay for your living. And they make sure you get paid so you can eat 3 times a day. And they make sure you can shower. They make sure you have all the stuff that you need to live and survive. This is nothing new. I need everyone to understand this is nothing new. This goes on today right in front of our face in America. I'm a contractor. As a slavery, I'm a contractor, right? If they wanted to send me to Connecticut right now as a contractor, I would have to work there for 2 years, and they would pay for me to live, and they would pay for me to eat 3 square meals a day, and they'll make sure I am taken care of, and all of that good business. And I'm employed. They're my employer, I'm the employee. And let's say I love this company so much. I love my employer so much. This is what the servant is saying. I love my employer so much. I love working for him so much. I mean, he's done so much good. He gave me a lot of benefits. You can think about it in today's day. The insurance is good. I got good medical. You know what I'm saying? I got good vision. I got good insurance. They pay me to live. All this good stuff, right? Nothing bad. All is good, right? As an employee working for your employer. So I love my master, right? Right? So it says I love my master, my wife, and my children. Right? So guess what? Even though you gave me my wife, right? Okay, put it this way. You gave me my wife to marry, but she also has her service to complete too as well. Since I'm completed already, but I love my wife and my children. And it's not like you was a bad employer. You was a real good employer. You was a good boss, right? This was a good company to work for. You know what? So this is what he says. I will not go out free. Meaning I'm good. I'm going to stay. I'm going to continue to work for you. I get paid to do it. I have a house to live in. I have an apartment to stay in. I get paid 3 square meals a day. This is not slavery, guys. I want you guys to understand this is not slavery. This is not slavery at all. Did slaves have a choice if they wanted to stay or go free? That's my question to anyone online. Did slaves have a choice if they wanted to stay with their wives and their kids? Did slaves have that choice? Huh? Anyone? Anyone online? If I was a slave right now, which I am, but let's talk about chattel slavery. Let's talk about chattel slavery. If I was a slave during the times of chattel slavery, could I go up to my slave master and say, you know what? I like it here. think about how psychotic that is. Like, hey, you know what, man? I like this. Ain't half bad. I like it here. You know what? And I love my wife and I love my kids. You know what, man? You ain't half bad, Jonathan. You ain't half bad, Skylar. You know what? I mess with you, man. I'm going to stay here. Does that sound like slavery to you? Do you think I could do that as a slave in America? But this is talking about slavery, though. Could I do that in slavery? The sister's right. La. So it's like, think about it, y'all. Listen, Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we're good to say this. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Well, you make it make sense. If I'm a slave, if you're saying this is slavery, like slavery in America, I couldn't go up to my slave master and say, I like it here. He was raping my wife. How could I like it here? How could I say I love my master if you, as my master, were sexually assaulting my wife? and my daughter. And then when I was a child, you were sexually assaulting and molesting and raping my mother and my sisters. How can I say I like it here? But this is talking about slavery. Does everybody understand? Can everybody put this in perspective? Khan or La'a? Let me know. Let me know if I'm talking Chinese. Just let me know. All right. By the way, I can't speak Chinese. Don't ask. All right. I can't speak Chinese. I don't. Ling Ling, possibly. I don't know. That could be a Chinese word. Salaki. Khan. It makes sense, right? This is not talking about slavery. Khan, right? This is not talking about slavery. This is talking about employer to employee. These are the rules and regulations that we have as a nation and as a race of people. All right? And that's what we have. All right, Khan. Okay, so as long as everybody understands. All right, as long as everybody understands. All right. Let's see. I will not go out free. So this is what he says. I will not go out free. Verse 6. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. Now here we go. This is what your employer has to do. Right? If he says this, then this is what the employer has to do. So if you say, I want to stay here and work here, right, still, because I love my wife, I love my son, I love my daughter, I love my wife, all these good things, and you want to work for me, as an employer, I have to go to the judges. I have to bring you to the judges, right? And here's the reason why. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost. So now you're at the door of where the judges are. Think of it like a courtroom. Think of it like you're going to court. Think of it like you're going to court and you're talking to the higher ups in the courtroom and the judges are the ones that give out the laws, give out the punishments, right? These are still your priests. That's what a judge is. They give the final, this is what it is. A judge will say, this is your sentence, or, this is what it is. Now, allow me to put it into perspective. Because we're black, Hispanic, and Native Indian in America, because we're so oppressed and beat down, right, and living in the most worst conditions, right, the word judge or the person that's a judge is always a bad thing. Let me tell you something. Because we're black in America, because we're Hispanic and Native in America, the only reason why we're in the courtroom is because we're criminals. Right? That's all. It's either something, there's always something bad. All right? If you're black, Hispanic, Native Indian, when we're always in the courtroom among judges or among a judge, it's always something bad. It's because you may have committed a crime or you're a criminal or whatever so be. Allow me to explain that you don't always have to go to court for something bad. You don't have to stand in front of a judge for something bad. It could be you can go to court in front of a judge for legal reasons. For a company. Sometimes you have to go to court because you are an employer. And you have to abide by certain judgments, rules, and regulations. You see how this is all tying together? This is something that's normal. This is not something abnormal. This is not something that doesn't exist now. Microsoft sometimes has to go to court. It could be for lawsuits. It could be just for making sure they abide by labor conditions. Companies go to court all the time to make sure they are following the rules of being an employer, of having a company. Well, guess what? This is the rule as an employer if your employee does this. You can't just handle it by yourself because the judgments were given to Moses, right? And Moses is giving it to you. So who's ever going to be in charge of Israel, there's going to be judges under him, right? Because they know the rules, they know the regulations, and they are in charge of mandating those rules and those regulations. So if you are an employer and your employee does this, this is who you're going to, because they know exactly what needs to be done. If your employee says these words, hey, I want to stay with you, man, you're good, I want to continue working for you, even though my 6 years is up, I want to continue working for you. America's military does this today. Once your 4-year contract is up, if you want to continue to work for America's military, you have to go in front of judges. It's called a re-enlistment. They make you sign documents. They make you do all these things to make sure that they're not holding you against your will here. All right? I may have jumped the gun a little, Salakia, but let's continue reading. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So now, this is what he does. And I was just you would pretty much give him a piercing. Like, that's what an awl is. It's pretty much like a piercing. Like, that's why when other Israelites say, or just Christians in general say, oh, it's unlawful to get a piercing. We've gotten piercings because it's our custom. Sometimes you wore a piercing so people would know, hey, this man is serving this man for however long, longer than 7 years, forever, right? So that piercing would be a symbol for most people to say, hey, this is how you would identify this man, right, serving your employer forever, right? Because guess what? In Israel, we cannot make you serve us forever. We can't do that. We have no authorization to do that. If I am an employer and you guys are my employees, after your 6 years is up, on the 7th year, on stipulation, I have to let you go. I can't make you work for me forever. America will. That's slavery. America makes blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians work for them forever. That's what they do. To this day, that's what they do. We've been working for America, slaving for America for over 400 years. For over 400 years. Where was our 7 years isn't done? Where was our choice to say, you know what? I don't want to work for you anymore. Where was that at? No. They made sure in America that you will work for them. One point in time in America, they made sure you will work for them. They enslaved you. After so-called slavery was over, they made sure you had to work for them. If not, you would go hungry, you would become poor, you would starve, and you would die. That's what would happen if you did not work for them. Am I telling you anything that you don't see today? People are out on the street now, homeless, poor, starving, because they do not work. You have to work for America. If not, you're going to die. You go homeless, you starve, and you die. In Israel, there are laws against that. Because we don't oppress our people. We do not enslave our people. Literally, there's laws in the Bible that we cannot glean our fields. All right, gleaning means pick up everything. We can't pick up everything. We have to leave some crops on the field so the people that are poor can grab and eat them. That's a law in our Bible. We don't oppress our people. In America, they oppress their people. And they also specifically target the oppression on black people, Hispanic people, and Native American people. When you go homeless, they don't want to feed you. They glean their fields. If you get caught picking a piece of corn off of a cornfield, you are stealing. You understand that, right? If you go next to a farm field and there's crops on that field and you pick up that crop, you are stealing. and you are going to go to jail for thievery, and you're going to be a slave. One way or another, you are going to be a slave for America. This is not conspiracy, This is not conspiracy, Aqua. It's not conspiracy. I promise you that it's not. This is real life. This is the oppression and the hell that we live in when it comes to America. So this is not talking about slavery. All right. So I'll start from the top, from verse 6. This his master shall bring him unto the judges. The reason why the master, your employer, has to bring you to the judges, because he has no authorization to make you work forever. Because that would be slavery. Right? That would be unjust. Right? There has to be some type of witnesses and proof that this man said, hey, I want to work for you forever. Because I love my family. I love my wife. I love my daughter. I love my son. And it's not like you're a bad guy. It's not like you're a bad employer. You feed me every day. You house me. And I do good work for you. And you treat me good. This is not slavery. All right? I can say this over and over again. This is not talking about slavery. All right? Verse 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant. Now here we go. Here we go. I guess this is slavery now. Right here. Even though verses 1 through 6 won't slavery, but verse 7 must be slavery. Because I'm selling my daughter to be a maidservant. Can anybody give me a educated guess? What does it mean, right? If a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant. Can anybody give me an educated guess online or in class? Go ahead, Warrior. Give it a shot. It says, and if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant. Anybody want to give it a guess? Am I just selling my daughter? Select it. Anybody online? Give it a guess. I'll give you some time. Anybody want to give it a shot? Online, select. Anybody online? How would you sell your daughter? Are you a pimp and you're selling your daughter for some tail? Is that what you're doing? Are you prostituting your daughter? You can't be selling your daughter like that because that's a law in Israel. Thou shalt not prostitute thy daughter, right? That's in the Bible. So I guess this must be talking about prostitution. You're allowed to sell your daughter, right? I guess that's what this must be talking about. Want to give it a shot?
You're selling your daughter for money to buy drugs.
No. Think about it. This is talking about employment, right? Think of employment, all right? But that would be unlawful. You cannot sell your daughter for drugs, all right? Keep that in mind. That's against Israel. You cannot, first things first, you cannot sell your daughter, right, as a prostitute or as a whore, nor suffer not a witch to live, right? Drug dealing is against the Most High, all right? And selling your daughter for tail or for some box, that's unlawful too. All right. Anybody want to give it a shot online? Verse 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, how would you sell your daughter to be a maid servant? Are you actually selling your daughter? All right. Are you guys actually selling your daughter? Of course, you guys aren't actually selling your daughter like on the auction blocks. When it says you're selling So when it says, and if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, meaning you are giving your daughter employment. All right? You are giving your daughter employment. You're allowing her to be hired. Like, hey, you know what? You can have my daughter, right? Get her hired. Listen, Salaki, the brother got it. Salaki, I should have waited. The brother's, William, you're correct. Get her hired. She needs a job too. All right? Sisters worked in Israel too. All right? Brothers and sisters worked in Israel. All right? You know, we all worked. All right? We all worked. All right? To get her hired. Right? So she's going to be a maidservant, meaning she's a woman employee. That's all it's saying. A maidservant is a woman that serves a woman employee. Right? A woman employee. That's it. All right? She shall not go out as the men servants do. Meaning, if she's a woman, right, there's a difference between a maid servant and a man servant. Meaning there's a difference between a woman employee and a man employee. So the way the women employees go out, they're not going to go out the same way how men employees go out. Right? Here's why. All right? So now here's why. Think of it spiritually, right? Women in Israel, it was okay. You have to think about the culture. You have to think about how Israel is, all right? It's not like America. It's not like America at all. In America, your women can do what they want, when they want to, how they want to. They can live by themselves. They can live on their own, and they have no one in charge of them. That's why she can't go out like men servants do, because men can go out on their own and do what needs to be done, but she cannot. She has to have a man over her, so she can't just go out. She either has to stay employed, or she gets a husband. That's all. That's all. She stays employed, meaning she has an employer over her that's protecting her, guiding her, and teaching her, and giving her food, and you know, making sure there's clothes and all this stuff. You know, getting paid for her wages, whatever it may be, whatever those judgments are. That's what this employer is doing until she gets married. Then that's her husband's job. All right? Everybody understands? All right? Now this is talking about employment still. All right? Focus on the employment. All right? Verse 8. If she please not her master, right? So now here we go. If she please not her master, who has betrothed her to himself. So now let's say there is a woman employee, right? And the employer, right, is a man, of course. And you know, men like women, right? So you might like one of your employees. You may like her. You know what I'm saying? You say, you know what? She looks good. She looks nice. She works hard. You know what? I want to betroth her. I want to get engaged with her. I want to try to marry her, right? Betrothed meaning engaged. Not officially married yet, but engaged. All right? So, if she please not her master, right, whom had betrothed her to himself, meaning if she does something that, they're betrothed, they're engaged. It could be for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, however how long. And let's say she doesn't, you know, she does something, whatever it may be, and, you know, he's like, you know what? I don't want to marry you, right? Which is lawful, because they didn't have sex, because sex is marriage. So because they're not married yet, he has every right to say, you know what? Hey, I don't want to go out with you. I'm good. I mean, I don't want to marry you. I'm good. I'm all right. right? Because there's no obligation there. There is none, right? He was just courting the sister, right? Then shall he let her be redeemed, meaning she can go back, meaning she can go back under the authority of her father, right? Or whichever man is in charge. She can be redeemed, right? She can be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. So, put it this way, right? He cannot just sell her off to any nation, right? Because that's not Israelite custom. Just because you don't want a sister, right, and you haven't married yet, you can't just say, you know what, off with her. Now the reason why I say is because in Israel, if you court a sister, and okay, let's say you're courting a sister, right? And as a man in Israel, you're courting a sister, right? There are going to be a lot of people that see you with this sister, right? It's not like in America where you stop courting a sister, right? You don't want to be with this sister anymore, and you just drop her off anywhere, and then the next man grabs her. That's not how Israel works. In Israel, if you were courting a sister, you were damn near already married, especially depending how long y'all courted for, because this sister is always around you. She's always talking to you. So brothers and sisters are automatically going to assume, like, yeah, they must be married, even though that you're not. But we're going to look at you like you're married, and so because of so, no one's going to want her, right? In Israel, if you are a woman and you was always around a man, we don't want you. That's your man. We're going to assume that is your man. We're going to be like, yeah, sis, that's your man. We good. We don't want you. But you can say, oh, we were just courting. I'm like, well, you better figure something out. So, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm good, right? Now, lawfully, if a brother really wanted to marry that sister, even though she was only courting, that is lawful. All right. There's no law being broken there. But in Israelite custom, right? Israelite men were not going to talk to you if there was a man around you for a very long time. All right. It's not like today, where a woman can have 3 to 5 men and another brother still wants her. And it won't like that. A brother could just be around a sister for more than 3 months and that's it. We are not interested. You know what I'm saying? Because there's other women that we can have that are single, that fathers have, that we can marry. Alright? Alright? They were out there. We didn't need you. Alright? So, you know, as a sister, we pray for you. Alright? Shalom, we pray for you. And, you know, you make sure you be a good woman next time. And don't displease anyone. You know? And, I don't know about you, but it's not hard. It ain't hard to please a man. As far as I've been told by women, it's not hard to please a man. Men don't ask for much. So, the sister must have did something to displease her. Like, you know, maybe she got too loud. You know, sisters ain't supposed to be loud and yelling. So, our sisters were quiet. Alright? But whatever it was, she could be redeemed. Alright? That's the law. Alright? Verse 9. And if he had betrothed her unto his son, I mean, let's say the master, the employee, say, you know, I have a son. All right, you can engage this woman, right? He gives this woman to his son, to court, to get betrothed, right? He shall deal with her after the manner of daughters, meaning you're going to do the proper steps in order to get married. The manner of daughters. You're going to do you're going to get the dowry, right? You're going to court. You're going to court each other. You guys are going to get to know each other. And then when you guys want to marry, then there's going to be a dowry paid. And then once the dowry is paid, you go into the chambers. You have sex. You give you take the sheets, you give it to the judges. There's the tokens of her virginity, and there you go. It's solidified. All right, that's the manner of daughters. Anybody confused? Carnal lie. Back in the day, you had to prove that you did not have sex. All right, you know that as a woman back in the day, you damn near had to prove that you didn't have sex. If a man had sex with you on that day, and you did not bleed, you are considered a whore, because you must have had sex. All right. Now I know some of y'all sisters be like, "Oh, that's crazy," because a woman's hymen can break at any time. Listen, back in the day, Israel, our women weren't doing what women are doing today, like in gymnastics and running track and dancing like the way they're dancing, and their hymen just breaks automatically sometimes. And it's not easy to break a woman's hymen that far, by the way, just by stretching and doing track and any of that. Right? Let's think this out. I'm not trying to go into great detail, all right? But there's phases in order to break a woman's hymen. A woman can break her hymen and bleed, but if she still has sex for the first time, she will still bleed. All right? If you did not know that, so we're not dummies here, we're not fools here. So if you was a woman in Israel back in the day and you did not bleed after having sex with your husband, that became your husband that day, you were going to be considered a whore, and you played the whore in your father's house, and you were going to get brought out back in front of the judges, and you were going to get stoned. You was going to get put to death. That was the law. All right. So how about we Barakatah Yahweh Shai for giving us a chance, Christ dying for us and giving us a chance, and now we don't have to be put to death by priests. Because a lot of you sisters would have been dead by now. Not saying any sisters in the truth, because our sisters are not whores. Any sister in the Isupk, we're not whores. They're not whores. Our sisters are lovable, respectable women. And they are not whores. They're not Christian monsters. They are beautiful, delicate princesses. And they're treated like so. But some of y'all sisters in the world, if this was old Israel, Cardi B, stoned. Megan Thee Stallion, stoned. Lizzo, stoned. Am I missing one? Cardi B. City Girls, stoned. Nicki Minaj, stoned. She's not black, but she's still getting stoned. All right? She's getting stoned. All of them, stoned. What was that? What's that? I keep forgetting her name. I don't remember her name. Steve Harvey's daughter. Y'all can put the name in the chat for me, but I'm never going to remember this sister's name. But she was a whore, all right? She was a whore, Aqua. She's getting stoned too. If this was old Israel, the rocks were coming. All right, that was it. All right. Now because of Christ, you're stoning now. It's that chlamydia, that gonorrhea, that HIV and AIDS. That's your stoning. You're going to regret the day that you chose to be a whore. You're going to regret it. And you're going to be on fire. Burn, baby, burn. That's what's going to happen to you. All right? Let's go ahead and continue. Anybody lost? Any questions? All right? Kana la. Any questions? Kana la. Am I losing anyone? Kana la. Go ahead, Slacky. Slacky, speak up. Oh, no, lie. Okay. Let's go to we're going to go to verse 10. Let's see. I want to read verse 10, but I'm going to read verse 10. I'll read verse 10. Right? Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. Okay, just making sure. Okay. The water, the water. Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. If he take him another wife, So here's these are your judgments. These are your rules and regulations. This is what has to happen. So it says, if he take him another wife, meaning this man has a wife, and if he takes him another wife, meaning a man can have more than one wife according to our laws. To our law, to our judgment system, there are rules and regulations to getting another wife. So it says, if he take him another wife, meaning this brother gets another wife. Alright? Her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So her food, meaning the food that she eats, the food that she gets. Right? Her raiment, the clothes that she wears, the clothes that she gets. Right? And her duty of marriage, meaning the duties of marriage. You guys loving each other, you know, whatever it may be, cooking and cleaning, right? You know, respecting your husband, the duties of marriage, y'all go back in the room and y'all put on some Marvin Gaye, whatever it may be, whatever y'all into, y'all probably playing Boys II Men out there. I don't know. Tony. I don't know. Depending on what generation y'all are, maybe Usher, R. Kelly, whatever it may be, the duties of marriage, right? He shall not diminish. All right? Meaning he shall not take away from this. Out of those three things, he cannot take not one of them. All right? So, with the first and the second, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, or how many of the wives that brother has, right? He cannot diminish anything. He shall not take away from her food, her raiment, or her duties of marriage. All right? Because if he does, all right, you are pushing that sister away from you, and you're pushing that sister to whatever. All right? All right? And you do not want to commit adultery, and no sister in Israel will commit adultery. All right? And because you will be brought in front of the judges or the priests and prophets of the Lord, and we will deal with you accordingly. It's just that simple, all right? So you love your wife, all right? And wives, love your husband and do what you must, regardless of how many wives he has or how many wives he gets, all right? It's not up to you, all right? It's not up to you, but as a brother and as a man, you will take care of your wife, and you will love your wife, and you will have time for your wife. If not, you better make time. I pray you understand as a brother, all right? If you want the responsibility of having more than one wife, well, congratulations. You will make time for them, and you will love them, you will respect them, and you will do what you must, because those are your wives. For every brother out there, I pray you understand. And for every daughter out there that's a princess, you do what you can for your husband, and you do what you must, and you do what you will, that you have to. All right. I pray you understand. All right. Let's get it. I'm gonna jump down to verse 16. All right, so we can get more into it. All right, we're gonna jump down to verse 16. Now, everyone thinks that this chapter is talking about slavery. The reason why we're going to jump down to verse 16 to prove to you that this is not talking about slavery. Because here's a stipulation. Here's a regulation. Here's a rule. Here's a judgment that we have to follow. Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man, it says, and he that stealeth a man. Meaning if you take a man by force, right? If you steal a man, you take a man by force. Just like those devils did during the transatlantic slave trade. They stole black people and took black people by force. They took the Hispanics by force. They stole the Native Americans by force. They stole them. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, meaning if you steal this man and you take this man by force against his will and you sell him, right? Like you sell him for money so you can get paid, so you can make a profit, right? It says, or if he be found in his hand, meaning this brother or sister is found in his hands or in your hands, right? In your premises, he shall surely be put to death. Right? That is a death penalty. I pray you understand. That is a death penalty. If you steal up a man and sell him, and he be found in your hands too, you will be put to death according to the Lord. Now that's against slavery. To enslave someone, to steal a man and sell him and make a profit for it, that's slavery. And the Lord said that's a death penalty. You'll be put to death for that. So guess what? That white man is going to be put to death for enslaving us. Alright? That African that you want to be so bad, he's going to be put to death because of what he did to us. That Arab that we want to be so bad and be Muslims and go into the and be Muslims and be like Inshallah, Inshallah, whatever it is, and you want to be Muslim so bad, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, you want to be Muslim so goddamn bad. Well, those same Arabs, they are going to be put to death for what they did to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's what's going to happen for what they did. Alright? Alright? Alright. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 22. We're going to start at verse 1. Right? And to add on, when Christ returns. That's a death penalty. When Christ returns, right? When Christ returns, these people are going to punish for their crimes that they committed against God's chosen people. It's in our law. Right? It's in our law. Because they put us into slavery and enslaved us and stole us and sold us and murdered us and molested us and lynched us and sexually assaulted us and sex trafficked us, they are going to pay for those crimes. That's what's going to happen when Christ returns. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a glorious day. And that is the true patience. Right? That's the true patience in the faith of the saints. This is the patience in the faith of the saints. It's to one day see true justice for what has happened to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. These people have no right to talk about the Bible being about slavery. Alright? And its acceptance about slavery. And it's not right because it talks about slavery. These devils have no right. These Christians don't know what they're talking about. Alright? The Bible has nothing. Listen, in Exodus 21, it's not talking about slavery. It's not talking about enslaving other Israelites. Absolutely not. We don't do that. Alright? Let's get Exodus chapter 22. Alright, we're going to go to verse 1. Alright? Alright? Exodus chapter 22, verse 1. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and for sheep, for a sheep. Now let's start from the top. So Exodus chapter 22 verse 1, if a man shall steal an ox. So if a man steal an ox. So if you take this ox without permission, right? That's stealing. Taking something without permission. Meaning you are taking something that's not yours. That's pretty much the rough definition of stealing, right? So it says, if a man, right? If a man shall steal an ox. So this man takes an ox, meaning this ox is not his, right? Or a sheep, meaning this sheep is not his, right? And kill it, meaning so if you take this sheep and you take this ox and you kill it, right? Let's say, you kill it. You take its life. Or sell it. Or you sell it and make a profit, right? Because sheep and ox. Like, okay, to give you guys a breakdown, or not a breakdown, Salakia, like more so of a foundation, all right? In Israel, we were known to be farmers. We were known to be very well in agriculture. We were known as shepherds. We knew how to tend the land. We would grow crops. We would plant your vegetables. We knew how to plant trees. We knew a lot about agriculture. We knew how to successfully produce wealth by using and utilizing the land. All right. So we knew agriculture. We were your farmers. All right. So when you hear certain examples throughout the Bible, it's always talking about sheep, ox, horse, cat, whatever animal that they may use. It's because of that. It's because we lived off the land. All right. We were farmers. We were in agriculture. We did all of that. All right. So if you sell it, so if you sell this ox or you sell this sheep, because ox, you can get some good money selling an ox. That's money. That's food. Right? You have to buy food to this day, don't you? We buy cows. It might be in hamburger meat. It might be in beef bacon. It might be in hot dogs. But you can make money off of an ox. Because you can turn it into food and you can turn it into clothes. This is agriculture. This is how you produce wealth through a nation, through the land. Animal skins can make clothes and shoes, and then its meat can produce, well, food, right? And that's worth money, right? You can buy clothes and you can buy food. This is economic, right? Rope, right? Rope. You can listen. This right here. This is all economic right here. This is touching on a slight basis of economics, like rawhide and cowhide, leather, all of that. And you can get all of this from an ox. All right, you can get literally all of this from an ox. Right? We lived off the land. All right, and milk, dairy, you can get this all from an ox. If you don't know what an ox is, it's pretty much it's in the family of cows. Okay, if you didn't know that. All right. It's pretty much in the family of cows. And oxen were used to plow the lands too as well. So they were utilized not just as food and clothes, but they were utilized as to produce more crops, to produce more food. We raised animals, right? So if you stole this from someone, you were stealing a valuable possession. If you killed an ox, right, or you killed someone's sheep, how can I say it? So if you killed someone's ox or you killed someone's sheep, you damn near destroyed their income, right? That's like me having my own business, right, as an electrician, and you go into my truck, into my van, and you take all of my tools, and you take all of my supplies, and you either destroy it or you sell it for money. You just cost me my way of living. Now I can end up poor. Right? Think of it that way. So if you stole someone's ox and you stole someone's sheep, You just destroyed their way of income. You just destroyed their way of living. They need that to survive. They need that to eat. They need that to clothe themselves. Right? They need all of that. They need the ox to plow the land so they can work on their land and make more food. Or make more food and crops and all that good stuff. You just destroyed their way of life, their income, right? Just by you being a thief, right? Stealing is against God, and you are not to be a thief, right? And it says, and kill it or sell it. He shall restore 5 oxen for an ox. So if you just steal 1 ox, you will restore 5. Does everybody understand why? Why? Because you owe him now. You owe him. All right? You can't just steal and think that there's going to be no punishment. You owe him. All right? You want to steal 1, we're going to make you pay for it. Now you owe him 5. That will teach you to never steal again. Where are you going to get these 5 oxen from? You only stole 1. So how are you going to get these 5 oxen? Don't worry about it. We'll get to that. We'll get to how you'll get that 5 oxen if you don't have it. We know you don't have it, brother. We know you don't have it, sis, because you decided to steal. Now, of course, these are laws in the Bible that you should not do. In Israel, it was very easy for us not to steal because we gave our race and nation of people ways to never steal again. All right? All right? Now, right, Most High in Christ, that's true. And it is righteous versus the white man's system because he will put you in jail, right? And that victim gets absolutely nothing. You'll steal everything from that man, and then that man that stole goes to jail for however long, and then you get nothing reimbursed. But in Israel, if you are stolen from, you will be reimbursed. All right? You will be reimbursed. You will get 5 more oxen for that one. That's what will happen. Now, of course, in Israel, we didn't really have thieves among us like that because we knew how to prevent thievery. It's by giving that man a job and not putting him in poverty and not oppressing him so he has no reason to steal. Right? Because that was in our law. That was in our customs. We would always give and give and give and make sure that you always had. Right? Alright? So there was no reason for you to steal because we're going to give you a job so you don't steal. Right? We're gonna make sure, right, that we leave crops for you to eat so you don't have to steal these crops. You can just grab some food. Or because of the kindness of our hearts, right, we may just make you a plate of food. That happens right now in the black community, right? Ever heard of plates? Remember how black people we selling plates now, right? We do all these things, right? These are ways to prevent thieves. But because of America and the oppression in America, right? And the poverty that we live in, we're forced to be criminals. Because in our minds, we can't expand past our thought limits. Right? We're so we can't think of anything else. We think the only solution is I gotta steal. Because of our oppression. We're not able to think past that like, oh, well maybe if I do this, then I can still get what I want. Like I'm gonna steal this and sell this so I can get money. We need to start thinking past that and say, you know what? Maybe if I do this instead, I can still get money. And these preachers have stolen and eaten up all of our resources in the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian community. Right? They have completely robbed us blind. since the 80s. If I'm not mistaken, over, what is it? I said, like, what was the number? I'm gonna say over 400,000 or billion. I forgot the number, but it was billions and millions of dollars that the Christian church stole from black people alone from the 80s. But you have people poor and stealing just so they can survive. $500 billion. 500 billion, not million. $500 billion since the 80s. That's a lot of money. You can with $500 billion, you can build a quarter of America's military with that money. So imagine what the black community could do with $500 billion. No one would have to steal. No one would have to rob and kill. But because of our poverty and because of our oppression, right? Our only option that we think in our heads is to steal, rob, and kill. But we need to start thinking past that because there's other solutions. But because of our oppression, it stops us from thinking of other solutions. All right? So it says, for an ox and for a sheep. So if you take a sheep, you owe this man 4 sheep, right? That you will be, it will be restored. Verse 2: if a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die. So this thief, right? He gets caught. Hey man, I saw you stealing my stuff, and I beat the hell out of you. And I smiting you, right? And I put you to death for it, right? There shall no blood be shed for him, meaning it was just that he did it. Now, this is in our law, all right? Now let me explain. No one is telling any black man or Hispanic and Native Indian man or woman that if you catch someone stealing, you beat the hell out of them and kill them. We're not telling you to do that. All right? We will tell you, right, in the law, it is justified, but now, when Christ came, right? When Christ came, how about stop, right? Hold on 1 second. How about as a brother or sister, you think before you beat this brother up because he's stealing? How about you think about, why is this man stealing? All right, why is this woman stealing? All right, because in Israel we'll shoot you for breaking in our house. We'll do that. The Lord doesn't want you to shoot no brother for breaking in your house. All right, He doesn't want you to do it. All right, the Lord isn't saying in this law, if a brother breaks into your house, light him up. No. You can defend yourself and protect yourself, but think about why the brother or sister is stealing. All right? That's all Christ wants us to do. Israel, we had a problem like this, right? In Israel, we had a problem of get back. Of if you did something to me, I'm going to do something back to you. Actually, I wish I had a little bit more time. But I want to say, in Exodus chapter 22, this is where you get an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is where this comes from. All right? This is, Salakia. Say you still answer my question on what if they don't care. Well, okay, Salakia. I didn't see the question, Salakia. If they don't, okay, what do you mean as in, you mean, Salakia too, when you mean if they don't care, Salakia, if they don't care, explain. Like when they break into your house and they don't care? Like, explain your question, Salakia. I'm not understanding the question. Salakia, Bubu Pashat Ayan. Alright? But this is where you get your tooth for the tooth, eye for an eye, all this stuff. And Israel had a big problem with that. We were always about get back. We're always like, you did this to me, I'm gonna do this to you. and if not more. We don't want, the law never gave us permission to really just go out there and start killing brothers because they stole from you. The law never gave us that type of permission. That wasn't the spirit, right, of the law. You know, some brothers were like, I hope you steal from me. You don't want to hope for a brother to steal from you because you just want to kill the brother, right? Like, that's not the spirit that you want to have, all right? If they don't care if they stole from you. Okay, they will care that they stole from you after the punishment, all right? They will care, all right, after the fact, all right? Of course, okay, Ayan, it's not about if they don't care. They're stealing because they have to care about something. I'm not making an excuse for a thief, but we have to think about why people steal. Some people steal because they have a problem. It's called kleptomaniacs, right? They just steal for no reason at all, right? That might be a case-by-case scenario. Then you have people that steal because they need money. Some people steal because they were taught to steal because they just want something. All right? At the end of the day, lessons will be taught. It's not about if they don't care. It's about us making sure they care after the fact. All right? Does that answer your question, Ayan? All right? We have to make them care. That's all. We have to make them care. All right? We'll show them mercy. We won't kill them, but we will make sure they care after they get a broken arm, all right, or their wrist gets broken, maybe a few ribs, but they'll care. They'll care, all right, we'll care. In our law system, in our judicial system, we have laws to put into place, right, to prevent people from stealing, and if they did steal, this would be the punishment, all right? So hopefully that answer. Let me know if that answers your question. Kind of loud. Just know it's not about if they don't care or they care. It's about what the law says and what's the punishment of stealing. So can you give them a beating? Okay. If you see them stealing, you have every right to stop them from stealing your stuff. Ayan. Okay. So if you catch a brother stealing from you, right, or a sister stealing from you, you are in your legal right, according to our law too, to stop them from stealing from you. All right? Right? You are in your legal right. But just don't, if you don't have to kill the brother, right, there's a way to not kill a brother and stop him from stealing from you. Does that make sense? All right? In Israel, the problem was, because the law said that there won't be no blood because you shed blood, we were going to kill you. That wasn't the spirit of the law. Just because our law said, hey, if you beat him up and then, he dies, we're not going to punish you by death because you put him to death. So a lot of Israelites were like, oh, okay, so we gonna kill you. That wasn't the spirit, all right? The Lord wanted you can still stop that brother or sister from stealing from you without killing them. All right? All right? I promise you that you can. Especially if you're stealing an ox or a sheep or any of your belongings. You can stop the brother without killing him. All right? In the Isupk, we are trained to stop brothers without killing them. All right? We are trained to not kill brothers. Right? We're trained to stop brothers without killing them. Now, like I said, we may not kill you, but you might not have a kneecap. Alright? I'm just saying. Your shoulder may be displaced. Alright? There might be a poking bone out of your body. Your ribs may be broken, but you'll live. We'll make sure you live. We're not going to kill you. But lessons will be taught if you come against the priests and prophets of the Lord. Alright? And if you steal from anyone, we will stop you from stealing. we just won't kill you. All right? I pray everyone understands. All right? So don't steal from the ISUPK. There's no need to steal from any brother from anyone or anywhere. There's no reason to steal from anyone and anywhere. All right? Especially none of us are going to do that in here. All right? Because there are consequences. All right? There's no need for us to steal from each other, especially in the ISUPK, because we give to each other all the time. All right? There's no point for you to steal from us, because we are going to willingly give you stuff, even though you may not want it. But we'll do it. All right? You're like, I don't want that. Just have it, brother. I didn't ask for it. Just have it. You're good. There's no point to steal. All right? All right. So there shall not be blood shed for him. Meaning, if it was to happen, all right, you would not get the death penalty if you put that brother to death. But do not leave this class and I find out that you killed someone from stealing, and then you say Yerushalayim told me. That's not what I said. All right? Don't get me in the council. Don't have me like, man, I did not say any of those words, sir. I made sure I said, sir, do not go out after class and kill nobody because they stole from you. All right? Do not do it. Baba Kwasha, do not do it. All right? There's another way. All right? Love your brother as you love thyself. All right? Baba Kwasha. All right? But don't be a Christian about it. But you get my point. All right? Don't leave class. All right? With that, we're going to get the announcements. ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK. Start at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahan. Rule for new brothers and sisters. We are the ISUPK. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 through 10. Ma'asra means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. It's the Passover. All right? It's the Passover on April 24th in Houston, Texas. All right? Make sure you get your Passover fees in. $200 per person over the age of 17. All right? Make sure your hotel reservations are good. Your flights are good. And your rental cars are good. Get in contact with the brothers now. All right? Make sure you communicate with the brothers. No excuses. Make it the Passover. For the sisters, right, you can pay for corsages if you're married or if you're not married. It's a tradition coming to Passover. So if you're married, a brother will know if you're married. And if you're not married, the brother will know that you're not married. All right? It's a tradition that should be followed. All right? So get your corsages. All right? We're going to have a beautiful time at Passover. That unleavened bread and that lamb is going to be a great time. We're going to have ATV riding. We're going to have fishing, horseback riding. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful time, all right? It's going to be a great, great, great time, all right? So get your garments, get your dresses. Make it to the Lord's Passover, all right? With that, I say Imadium, which means to stand. Sar, Panyahakwadum, which means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakufka, Daba'a, Watazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Hayah, Washemaya, Nathananawa, Lakab, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nanawa, Kabawak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawak Yanawa, Wala'a, Dabaya'a Nawa, Banasayawa, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Watapara, La Awalonia, Aman. In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us, for our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. We're going to do the prayer of the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter in thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites, and the nations, and the drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek, synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Egyptology, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us, and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Let loose all the plagues. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plagues shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh, thank you always, so be it. Sar, which means to turn. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah B'Gatol. Yana Matah. Men of Israel, Sar La'akwaki, which means turn to the sisters. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Shema Alatan Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. Yana Matah. With that, class dismissed.